Occult-Cast presents Sigil Magick in Theory and Practice. In theory from chaos. The intellectual mind can often get in the way of doing magic. It may indicate the possibility of failure. It may not believe in the magic being performed. It may think of doubt. It may project onto the magic and render it impotent. For after all, if you are doing magic to light a fire, and all you can think of is cold, you might have a problem starting fire when all you're doing is thinking about the opposite to what you want to accomplish. This could apply to pretty much anything. You have to have a certain degree of belief in yourself. In fact, you have to believe in yourself over all things when you're doing magic. You have to believe in your ability to do magic. And we can even simplify it. You need to believe in your ability to accomplish something. So, if you are hungry, you have to believe in yourself that you can cook yourself something to eat, or at the very least, call in for some food. But either way, you have to have a method in mind. You have to be able to actually do something. Magic is not simply wish fulfillment. That said, for those of you who do devotional magic, sometimes that is all it takes. It's a simple prayer. A sigil is a symbol used to bypass the intellectual mind and to activate the subconscious energies. Basically, we want a Netzach experience, which is number 7 of the Tree of Life to your right there, and it indicates more of like emotional experience. Versus a Had, number 8, the orange sphere on the Tree of Life, which is opposite the green 7. The Had conscious is more abstraction. It's intellectual ideas. It's thinking of It's thinking, and it's that active type of thinking that will get in the way of doing magic. So, like I said, we want a Netzach experience. Experience is the key word here, not a Had conscious abstraction. This meditation is universal to all symbols. This experience, rather, is universal to all symbols. You may link yourself to particular ideas through these symbols. In order to use these ideas, it is necessary to unite with them as you would a lover. Feeling the symbol will help you to unite with it. In the rapport generated with the symbol lies the reason it will help you. Love the symbols, and they will love and support you. Now, this is really just the idea of getting to know the symbol. If you're doing any of these types of sigil methods with, say, Solomonic symbols, which I'm not recommending to novices, but I'm just saying if you're going to use them for actual angelic symbols, planetary symbols, you want to get to know them. And you can use them to get to know the forces behind the symbols. So a sigil is really just a symbol used to connect with an abstract idea. Like, think of it as a living idea of human abstraction. The type of abstraction that we can't really intellectualize, but we can tell stories about. A sigil is a thought form that can work for you. The more that you charge them, the more power they accrue. Each sigil is a representation of an idea, having an image and a sound. By gazing into the image and vibrating the sound, you will unite with it and charge the sigils. This is not this can be, but in my opinion, should not be something haphazard just to charge every sigil at will. Rather, charge symbols by will. And I don't mean by desire, I mean by will. Because you will always get much better results in magic when it is of your will, more than just a desire. By gazing into the image and vibrating the sound, you will unite with and charge the sigils. The more you do this, the more those sigils will retain their energy. For those of you who read the tarot, you might know what I am talking about. For this applies to the tarot as well. The more you unite with the tarot, the more the tarot will work for you. The more you will understand its language foremost. But second most, the more you can identify with and willfully use those energies at your disposal. I have included an image of the Tree of Life, mixed with, I believe, that is Leonardo da Vinci's painting of that man that is usually on a pentagram, but now here I found it with a hexagram instead. But the reason I picked this slide, or this image, is because it is showing simultaneously the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, the idea of man and where it is arranged in the Tree of Life. There's sort of a six-pointed hexagram star kind of superimposed on it as well. These are all images, which as you see are stacked. The Hebrew letters are the names of these spheres in Hebrew. Symbols don't have to be old to be effective. Human archetypes are ancient and eternal. They take on many faces and many names. Each magician must choose a face and name that best suits his needs to accomplish her tasks. For some magicians, the mighty god Horus is an appropriate face for an avenging god. However, other magicians may get a better connection to this archetype through the face of Superman. Thus, when designing sigils, be conscious of the feelings that they invoke from you. If you make one and do not like it, do not use it. Make another one that you do like and do love. Love is the law. Now, I chose Superman and Horus because of their similarities, at least for being avenging gods or avenging forces of good. Superman, Kabbalistically, is wearing mostly blue and red. So for Kabbalah, that is basically the two pillars. On the one side, you have the energy of Jupiter, mercy and compassion. The other side, the red side, is going to be your war side, your strength side, which Superman has in abundance of both. And finally, on his shield and his belt, he wears yellow, that of the sun, which unites on the Tree of Life both Chesed, which is the blue, it is a representative of mercy, and Gabora, or strength, which would be the red. So Superman's colors, like I said, are Kabbalistic. But and not to mention Superman is powered by the sun, just like Horus is a sun god. This said, if you are looking to invoke Superman, he's probably going, I've never done it. I've quite frankly never invoked any comic book heroes, but in theory, you could. And if you were looking for some sort of helpful savior god, that'd be Superman, at least from comic books. If you were looking for a dark, avenging god, that'd be Batman. But be wary of invoking a god of vengeance, because they may very well answer your plea and help you seek vengeance on that, I guess, person you're vengeful towards. But Batman, if you recall, is not too happy with people he considers to be doing criminal activities. And if that includes you, Batman might very well take out you at the same time. Magical systems such as the Kabbalah, the Tarot, astrology, alchemy, runes, Enochian, etc. already have power built up within them. Unlike Superman and Batman, just saying, they're within 100 years, just about 100 years old, versus the gods are ancient. Sigils using these systems as a basis can constitute a link between the sigil that you are creating and the system that you are already have an affinity with. Meaning, if you're already using the gods of ancient Greece, keep doing that. Incorporate them into your sigils. Sigils, however, can be a representation of your own personal language and alphabet. From low magic to high magic, the application of sigils is endless. High magic being the magic of devotion towards divinity, to improve thy soul, to perfect thyself. Low magic affecting the physical world and, well, I guess the emotions of ordinary man, if you're thinking of things like love magic, because that would also be low magic. Basically, low magic is effect. High magic is like the cause, like your soul. You can use sigils to form a more personal link with the gods of any system. Thus, if you make a sigil with its own name for the sphere of Tifereth, the sun on the tree of life of the Kabbalah, then you forge a more intimate relationship with Tifereth. It's like a pet name. It's something personal. It's not something that you share with other people. And it is not in lieu of the magical names of Tifereth, of the god names, the goddess names, the archangels, angels, because those all have their place, because quite frankly, they're interwoven into the four worlds extremely nicely already. But if you create your own system with your own names, and you're already a practitioner of Kabbalah, just be wary of things like that. You're still going to want to do your same types of ritual magic if that has already worked for you. Or you can just use a very basic and fast working form of magic known as sigil magic. Sigil magic in practice. 1. Formulate exactly what you want to accomplish with the sigil you are creating. 2. Write the sentence that you have decided on in all capital letters. 3. Rewrite the letters of the sentence, removing all multiple letters. 4. Shuffle the letters into a mantra. 5. Draw a sigil using all of the letters from the sentence. 6. Charge the sigil. 7. Shift consciousness. 8. Forget the sigil. Okay, in more detail. 1. Formulate exactly what you want to accomplish. Be specific in your wording. Draft several sentences if you need to, and put some thought into this. Be positive, meaning, instead of using the negative form, I am not afraid, instead, avoid using the word afraid altogether and write, I am courageous, or I am brave. The subconscious mind is going to hear the word afraid. Even if the word not is there, it will be a conscious of the fear associated with the word afraid, which is why, instead of being negative, be positive and try to use the words that are going to help you do this. A thesaurus may very well be your friend. Use a pendulum to gauge accuracy. Now, a pendulum is a tool that you can use to kind of ask yourself yes or no questions and get to know yourself, which is why I suggest this here. But it is not actually necessary for the art. This is something I'm just recommending to people who like to add a little divination. But don't go overboard in this. If you had already put some thought into this, you probably should already be, where you want to be. 2. In your magical diary or on a fresh piece of paper, write the sentence that you have decided on in all capital letters. For example, magic brings a positive change to my life. 3. Rewrite the letters of the sentence, removing all multiple letters. You may see before you, some letters here are crossed out. In the word brings, the letters I and G are crossed out because we already used those letters in the first word, magic, and so forth for the rest of the sentence. Once we do that, we're left with these letters. 4. Shuffle the letters into a mantra that does not sound like the original sentence. And you can be liberal with pronunciations. For example, you can decide, and again, if you're people that use pendulum, this is where the pendulum stuff really comes in nicely, to really make sure you like how these words sound. You want to put that to bed by the time you use this later. So we could pronounce this as Cabmick Sproffing Thelv, which is gibberish for our original statement. So Cabmick Sproffing Thelv. 5. In your magical diary, make a sigil using all the letters from the sentence. This can be done abstractly and creatively. So drawing a B can also count as drawing an E, an M, or a W. So if you look at the B, you can kind of see sort of like a backwards E with a line through it, or like a McDonald's M with a line through it. And just that can apply to pretty much any letter, or, any letter that looks like another letter. So you don't have to draw both an M and a W, unless you want to. It's up to you. It could be as simple or as complicated as you want. This is an expression of you and should be done artistically. Keep a copy of this sigil in your magical diary or a separate grimoire. So that way you can use the sigil again at a later date. Especially if you make a sigils of a god or goddess. That's not something that you're just going to use once. That would be something that's of devotion that you might use over and over again. These sigils are also sort of like keys on a piano that can play pieces of your soul, should you charge them to that parts of your soul. Finally, in this method, we need to draw an operative sigil on another piece of paper and make it beautiful. First off, on another piece of paper, because if you're going to write this in your magical journal, diary, book of shadows, etc., you're not going to want to destroy your book of shadows or diary. So you do this on another piece of paper and make it as beautiful as you can make it. I have had many a day where I have drawn a sigil, looked at it, ripped it, said, no, that's not good enough. And I've redrawn it until it was perfect enough. Let's not go overboard. We do have other lives besides doing sigils. This is an example of a sigil using all of the letters that we saw in the previous slide. Okay, charging the sigil. And this can be done, there are other ways to do this. So if you find another way that you like better, by all means, use that way. So, while gazing into the sigil, vibrate the mantra. Become one with the sigil. Imagine your consciousness uniting with the sigil and it with you. Charge it until you become either very excited or extremely calm. Now, this is, of course, leading to two different types of meditation. I'm going to stop at B here for a second to explain the very excited or very calm. You can keep on saying the word vibrating the word over and over and over and over and over and over until you work yourself up into a frenzy and keep on going and going and going until that's just it. That's just it. And you just kind of push it all into the sigil. Kind of focus it all, let your imagination pull all of yourself into that sigil, all your energy into that sigil. That's the excited part. The extremely calm part is exactly as it sounds. So if you are an avid meditator, just gaze at the sigil. And either vibrate out loud or in your mind, getting into that meditative state of mind that you already know. And again, just keep it up as long as you feel you need to. I mean, this is preferably not just 50 seconds and you're done, but, just really put some energy into this. So that is the charging. Once you have completed charging this, with your eyes gazed onto this entire time, whether going for excitement or extreme calm, close your eyes and meditate on that sensations that come up. Be passive. Don't force any thoughts. If they come, just let them go. And do this until you are ready to open your eyes. Now, gaze into your sigil one last time with a silent, receptive mind. Just look. That's it. Whatever emotions come, will come. Let them. 7. Shift your consciousness. This can be done in many ways. By quickly and childishly crumbling up the paper and burning it, or just throwing it away. By rolling incense into the paper and burning it. By tearing the paper up and burning it or throwing it away. Laughing yourself into a frenzy. Talking gibberish or baby talk like or goo gaga. Dancing around the room, playing or making music, drinking something after disposing of the sigil. Or, not on the list, but you can make it a holy rite as you burn the sigil. Letting, especially if you put incense into it, that the incense be an offering unto the gods. Your choice is up to you. 8. Forget the sigil. Record the experience in your magical diary, then forget about it. Go about your business, do something else, etc. Oh, you don't think that's easy? Not at first, but if you do it often, it actually becomes quite easy. For example, and this is an often type of deal, I used to do sigil work as part of my devotional work. That said, for what I use it for, I also can do a ceremonial magic, and I kind of like that. But for the sigils, it can be a very holy experience, especially if you are one that worships the planet, not so much worships, but at least acknowledges the planetary spirits of the day. And for example, we'll start with Sunday, as in the sun. Monday is the moon. Tuesday is Mars. Wednesday is Mercury. Thursday is Jupiter. Friday is Venus. And Saturday is Saturn. If those mean anything to you, then I would say, for example, if they mean, say, 7 archetypical human gods that are always within you, then by recognizing them on every single day, over and over and over again, you start to get to know yourself. And you start to know yourself in terms of the planets. So if you make your own personal sigils on the planets, once you go through the process of charging them on a daily basis for your devotion, then it's actually pretty easy to just let it go after. Because you had your devotion, now you go off to work or do whatever, and it's actually pretty easy to forget about it. So then, if you do some more of a practical sigil, to get something you want in the physical world, well, that's the case. Now, if you've been doing the devotional kind, you will have just sort of got to know how to do it, and you just sort of forget about it. In closing, many civilizations and systems have used sigils in their magic. Whether it be Egyptian hieroglyphs, Asian characters, Goetic keys, tarot, Hebrew letters, or astrological glyphs, they all have one thing in common. They are magical keys to ideas made manifest.